Welcome to God's Transforming Word. Today we continue our studying on the fundamental doctrines, spiritual warfare. Some demons live in the air above the earth, for Satan is the prince of the power of the air. Some are rulers over large areas as lords or leaders and governors in the evil spirit world. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2. Wherein in time past he walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. In the book of Daniel, we can see that Satan has assigned fallen angels as princes over various nations in order to influence leaders to act contrary to the will of God. A demon was assigned control over the Persian Empire. God had sent Daniel a messenger by a good angel, and the evil spirit prince of Persia restrained him, so that Michael the archangel came to help the good angel get through with the message. This evil prince is a very powerful demon. Michael the archangel is a guardian angel of Israel. He will help Israel during the time of great trouble yet to come. He leads the angelic armies of heaven against Satan and his host of evil ones. During the Great Tribulation, just before Armageddon, demons will be involved in moving the leaders of the nations to prepare for war against God. We read Daniel chapter 10, verse 21. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth, and there is none that holdeth with me in these things, but Michael your prince. In chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And in Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. In Revelation chapter 16, verse 13 through 16. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to battle of the great day of God Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that walketh and keepeth his garment, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. How to recognize demons. Since demons are fallen angels, they belong to the same class of beings as angels and Satan. All these creatures have much in common. The less we teach about demon power, the more control the devil and his demons take over people. Many people in this world are possessed by the devil, and they do not even believe in his existence. We must know that Satan and his demons exist, for Satan works in ignorance. 2 Corinthians 2, verse 11b says, For we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. We need to be able to identify demon power at work. By looking at the names and titles of Satan and his demons, we can get some insight to their nature and character. If we know the character of demons and their names, we will be able to identify them at work. Satan is mentioned in the Word by many names. Demons are liars, tempters, and accusers. Revelation chapter 12, verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the powers of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God night and day. Demons can be strong and powerful. We see in Acts chapter 19 where some priests were trying to cast out a demon. Let's read that in Acts chapter 19, verse 14 through 16. And there were 7 sons of one Sceva, a Jew, a chief of the priests, which did so. And the evil spirit answered and said, Jesus I know, and Paul I know, but who are you? And the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them, and overcame them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded. And in Mark chapter 5, verse 3 and 4, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him. Demons produce false teaching. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. Now the Spirit speaks expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. In James chapter 3, verse 15, this wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish. Demons can cause sickness and disease. Matthew chapter 12, verse 22. Then was brought unto him one possessed with a devil, blind and dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and the dumb both spoke and saw. Demons are called by many names. 1. Spirit of infirmity. Luke chapter 13, verse 11. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity 18 years. 2. Dumb and deaf spirit. Mark chapter 9, verse 25. Jesus saw that the people came running together. He rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit. 3. Unclean spirits. Matthew chapter 12, verse 43. When the unclean spirit is come out of a man, he walks through dry places, seeking rest, and finding none. In Mark chapter 1, verse 23, and there was in the synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out. In Luke chapter 9, verse 42, and Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, and healed the child, and delivered him again to his father. 4. Blind spirit. Matthew chapter 12, verse 22. Then was brought unto him one possessed with a devil, blind and dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and dumb both spake and saw. 5. Familiar spirits. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 6. And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards, to go a-whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people. 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 24. Moreover, the workers with familiar spirits, and the wizards, and the images, and the idols, and all the abominations that were spied in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, did Josie put away, that he might perform the word of the law, which were written in the book that Hezekiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. 6. Lying spirit. 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 22 and 23. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. 2 Chronicles chapter 18, verse 21 and 22. And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And the Lord said, Thou shalt entice him, and thou shalt also prevail. Go out and do even so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil against thee. 7. Seducing spirits. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. Now the Spirit speaks expressly that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. 8. Foul spirit. Mark chapter 9, verse 25. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. And Revelation chapter 18, verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hole of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. 9. Jealous spirit. Numbers chapter 5, verse 14 and verse 30. And the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled. Or if thy spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled. Or when the spirit of jealousy cometh upon him, and he be jealous over his wife, and shall set the woman before the Lord, and the priest shall execute upon her all the law. 10. Devil or devils. Luke chapter 9, verse 42. And as he was yet a-coming, the devil threw him down and tear him. And Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, and healed the child, and delivered him again to his father. 12 truths about demons from Matthew chapter 12, verse 43 through 45. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and finding none. Then he says, I will return unto my house, from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty and swept, and garnished. Then goeth he, and takes with him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they entering in, and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. Truth number 1. Demons have legs and can walk. Truth number 2. They seek. They have intelligence. Search for human beings to dwell in. Truth number 3. Need rest. Get tired. Have emotions. Truth number 4. Can see. Have eyes. Truth number 5. Demons can talk. Truth number 6. They have a will. decision-making ability. Truth number 7, can think imagination. Truth number 8, they believe. Truth number 9, have memories, they remember. Truth number 10, can examine things. Truth number 11, know how to plan. Truth number 12, know how to call for help. Demons are subject to Jesus Christ. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 22. Who is gone into heaven and is on the right hand of God, angels and authority and powers being made subject unto him. Jesus gave us all power and authority over demons. Matthew chapter 10, verse 1 and verse 8. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power and authority against unclean spirits, to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely he hath received, freely give. And in Luke chapter 9, verse 1, then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all devils and to cure diseases. You may be saying, but this is where Jesus gave power and authority to his 12. But we read in the Great Commission, Mark chapter 16, verse 15 through 18. And he said unto them, go ye into all the world, and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved. Do you believe? But he that believeth not shall be damned. And these signs shall follow them that believe. Who are these signs following? Them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. So how do they cast out devils? In his name. Who's doing it? He that believeth. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents. And if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. So we can see from this passage that it's he that believeth. What follows he that believeth? Signs follow. Cast out devils, speak with new tongues, take up serpents, drink deadly things, lay hands on the sick. How did Jesus cast out demons? By his word, he rebuked them. Mark chapter 5, verse 1 through 27. And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, whom had his dwellings among the tombs. And no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with feathers and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and his feathers broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of thy country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountain a great herd of swine feeding, and all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down the steep place into the sea. They were about 200, and were choked in the sea. So we can see from this passage that Jesus said unto him that is a spirit, he said, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And we read in Mark chapter 9, verse 25 through 27. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. And the spirit cried, and rent him sore, and came out of him. And he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, and lifted him up, and he arose. And in Luke chapter 4, verse 35 through 36. And Jesus rebuked him, saying, Hold thy peace, and come out of him. And when the devil had thrown him in the midst, he came out of him, and hurt him not. And they were all amazed, and spake among themselves, saying, What a word is this! For with authority and power he commandeth the unclean spirits, and they come out. And in Matthew chapter 4, verse 10, Then said Jesus unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. And in Matthew chapter 16, verse 22 and 23, Then Peter took him, and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, for this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savourest not the things which be of God, but those that be of men. And in Acts chapter 16, verse 16 through 19. And it came to pass, as we went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with a spirit of divination met us, which brought her masters much gain by soothsaying. The same followed Paul and us, and cried, saying, These men are the servants of the Most High God, which show unto us the way of salvation. And this did she many days. But Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus Christ, come out of her. And he came out the same hour. And when her masters saw that the hope of their gain was gone, they caught Paul and Silas, and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers. In Jude verse 9 we read that Michael the archangel, an angel of great power and authority and position in heaven, refused to rebuke Satan in the dispute over Moses' body. Even in his fallen state, Satan is still one of the greatest and keenest of God's created beings. Michael did not dare to rebuke Satan, but respected the authority given to him by God, and said, The Lord rebuke thee. We read that in Jude, verse 8 and 9. Likewise also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominions, and speak evil of dignities. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, disputed about the body of Moses, does not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, The Lord rebuke thee. We need to know that it is not our power or authority. It is the authority of God. Acts chapter 19, verse 13 through 16. Then certain of the vagabond Jews, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord Jesus, saying, We adjure you by Jesus whom Paul preaches. And there were 7 sons of one Sceva, a Jew, and a chief of the priests, which did so. And the evil spirit answered and said, Jesus I know, and Paul I know, but who are you? And the man in whom the spirit was leaped on them and overcame them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded. These Jews thought they could cast out spirits, but they were not children of God. They did not have the authority. Jesus said that not everyone that calls him Lord are his. Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. Not everyone that says unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye workers of iniquity. Because they were able to cast out spirits at one time, they were children of God. But through iniquity, they separated themselves from God. Iniquity is illegal, that is, violation of the law, of general wickedness. When Jesus was accused of using demon power to cast out demons, he said, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. One cannot be an effective part of 2 opposite kingdoms. Jesus said a man cannot serve 2 masters.